Good day, everyone. Today, we are going to be talking about yesterday. New Directions paper book 1526 by Juan Imar, translated by Megan McDowell. Cover design by Eric Carter. Got compliments from lots of my friends when they saw the book that I was reading. This foreword, I didn't love, but it didn't offend me too much either. The cover stock is that nice, scratchy, laminated stuff. It's definitely water resistant. I accidentally poured a little bit of water on it when I was, holding a glass of water and going over the book, and I just wiped it off, and there was no damage. There is a little fold in it, but I think that when this book was given to me, it had that fold already. And on the back, we can look at these blurbs. We see some favorites of mine. There's Bolaño and Ira, and I love them both. Anyone who's watched Leafy Concern for any amount of time will know that I take pride in my large collection of Cesar Ira books, of which I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of 11. The big ones, I guess, intimidate me or something. You could add yesterday to the stack. I guess that's what Augie figured when he recommended this to me and just gave it to me so confidently. Augie, your confidence was merited. For an Ira fan, yesterday is a dream come true. I read it over the course of a long weekend. I started about Thursday, ended about Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. Tuesday. If we look in the book, we can see that I have some pieces of paper that I've used as bookmarks. What are they? They were tucked in at page 52. I didn't mean for that, but 52 is actually the moment where I paused in reading the book. It's like I read the book in two bursts. That first half, that concrete half, and then that second half of abstractions that come from really close observations. The 3 bits of ephemera that are in the book are as follows. So there's this sandwich order from my favorite coffee place. There are many orders featured in yesterday, and by many I mean 2. Here's an example of some of the things that they eat. I like this kind of meaty one, and I like this one with the bull testicle canapes. So this is sort of, putting this in the book after reading it felt more meaningful a gesture than it would have felt otherwise, which is why I talk about it now. There's this other piece, which is the bookmark that I used for most of the book. It looked really good inside of it. Let me show you how it looked. It looked like this. See, there was a flower peeking out. I don't know if you all follow, or if you all are on Instagram, but the Botan rice candy stickers, the Botan_stickers channel, or the Botan_stickers account, is currently in the process of taking Botan rice candy stickers and archiving them all by making nice scans and uploading them one by one. You should all check that out. I was given a lot of the boxes that are left over from this person opening the boxes and taking out the stickers. I cut them all into little cards, and I am now using them as bookmarks for books of any size, from like mass market to a normal trade size paperback. This one is a little weird because I accidentally cut off this part of the corner, but I think that irregularity makes it especially cool. And then recently, my love was drawing on the back of it. And I thought that number one, it's a beautiful drawing, and secondly, the way the drawing interacts with the irregularity of that corner is, I think, really beautiful. I guess it's thematic in a couple of ways. Number one, it's irregular, and then number 2, it is touched by a loved one, as yesterday is very deeply. Because yesterday is the story not only of its narrator and the narrator's travails and observations. No, it's the story of a husband and wife team who do things and then agree that they must go because they've had enough of what they've just seen. On this 3rd bit of ephemera that was tucked into the book, we have some notes that I took during that second half when the book was slowing down of things that I could maybe talk about, i.e. in this video, or think about when I reread the book later, as I no doubt will. In here, I note the refrainedness, the refrainitude, refrainitizement, refrainability of the chapter ends, which remind me of the beginnings of the chapters of Pereira Maintains, which is a miracle of a book. At the end of every episode, we get this, the narrator turns to his wife in desperation and says, "Let's go. We should have had enough of this." And she says, "Yes." She always agrees. "Yes, it's been quite enough. Let's go. Let's go." And whether this depiction of the loved one is always agreeing with you saying that it's time to go feels accurate or not is up to you. Whether that feels accurate, it depends on the reader. For me, it feels very accurate to how relationships feel. I've been scanning the book looking for things that will communicate the depth of the husband and wife's love for each other, and the importance of their romance to the book and the meaning of the book. And I found this bit about how my wife, defying and demolishing all, went down with incredible agility, respecting the same agreement she had made in the middle of the journey when she began to sing, so that to the monkey's inferno, my own clay substrate, she added the majestic sliding of deep waters that have never seen the sun's light and are emptied into the earth's entrails through caverns that none of us will ever see, save for when she revealed them to us through her song. Yeah. I had to read that somewhat pompously. It's really affecting love poetry to me. This whole book is an affecting love poem to me. And I didn't come to this conclusion all on my own. I looked on the back and said that all of the events of the novel are wed to the happiest marriage in any novel ever. So my conclusions aren't that original. One thing I thought it was annoying that Alejandro Zambra said in the opening was that this might be the best of all of Juan Amar's novels. I didn't like that. It annoyed me. I hated reading it and thinking, oh, this is the best. I hated already having this book compared in a competitive way to the other books that haven't even been translated yet. It just felt superfluous. I'm like, please don't make comments like that. Those are dumb comments. Like, I don't give a crap what you think the best book is. Can you please just be a little bit more concrete or something? I mean, on BookTube, everybody who says, oh, this is my favorite book, those books are those are just done to get a rise out of people, or those videos are just done to get a rise out of people and get comments, And now it's time for a summary of the book. Let me try. Basically, I wasn't wrong in an earlier video when I said that this was going to be a microscopic look. It is a microscopic look at certain things. For the first half of the book, basically the first half of the day into the early afternoon or so, the book's events concern 3 visits to places that are mostly concerned with kind of in which the narrator and his wife are kind of attacked and events kind of assail them, and then they flee. And then in the second half of the book, there are, I guess, 3 or so more visits to places that are more introspective, and this change in the book is announced somewhere. It's announced here at the end of the Ruben de Loa section, which is one of the best sections in the book. After all that madcap action of the first half of the book, we get this conversation where he says, "You go wherever you feel like going, in your thoughts, you understand. I, meanwhile, will devote myself to making observations about all that is around us, and you will see just what kinds of things I can conclude." I personally think that the second half of a day is more introspective than the first. The first has to do with just kind of springing up and blooming, come what may. And then the second half of the day does include a lot of thought, that may touch on how the close of the day is kind of like a little death or something, or maybe different. But I think that this is a realistic map of a day if you view it metaphorically, honestly. I preferred the first half to the second half. Right after I finished the first half of the book, I kind of got sidetracked by other things that were good to read. I freaking checked out a Bukowski book and a Mary Ruefle book from the public library, and I was having so much fun reading out of these books. They're really they're just really addictive reads. If you know, you know, I guess. And I kind of got distracted around that page 52 and started looking elsewhere at different books, I guess because I sensed what was to come. What was to come was not unpleasant, but it resembled something more like what happens in these Lispector stories, where action is suspended and thoughts, make knots. In this Mary Ruefle, from Madness, Rack, and Honey, which is a book, if you don't have it, you should probably have it. In this piece on beginnings, here's this bit. Roland Barthes suggests there are 3 ways to finish any piece of writing. The ending will have the last word, or the ending will be silent, or the ending will execute a pirouette, do something unexpectedly incongruent. That bit immediately made me think of the poems that I was liking in this Bukowski book. I always liked them because they had kind of saving endings that felt impressive. Like the whole point of the poem is to just launch out in some direction and then fall to the ground gracefully without injury and having learned something or having communicated the excitement of falling or something. The ending being so saving and being so exciting. I wanted to go through this book and classify every poem. Okay, I wrote it on the sheet. I wanted to go through all my Bukowski poems that I was reading and like classify them into silent, last word, or pirouette. I wrote down here something about yesterday. I think that Ruefle bit where she quotes Roland Barthes applies to yesterday in 2 ways that I can think of right now. Number 1 pertains to the refrains, and then the second thing has to do with clunkiness perceived in the book. These refrains that happen, let's go, enough already of lions and ostriches. Yes, enough already, let's go. It's just cool to look at these through the lens of those 3 types of endings. They're kind of silent in that they are abrupt. They're kind of like the last word because they kind of restate that the passage of time kind of rules over momentary tragedies and contextualizes them all and sort of makes them all like little jewels in a box or something that you can just sort of depart from and proceed to the next one, easily or something. And then they're kind of like pirouettes because I guess they're stylish or something. There's something pirouette-like about them and the way they kind of turn around in one spot and then run across the stage. And then there's that second thing, that more critical thing about clunkiness. Now, I can empathize with people who don't want to read Juan Emar and don't want to read all these Ira books. I think, how do I put this? When it feels like an author has stopped imagining one part of the book and they want to go to another part, and they're not exactly sure how, and they're kind of spinning their wheels thinking about how to get there, we have the potential for great beauty and great frustration. That spinning of the wheels and that kind of, I guess, pirouetting and kind of, juggling in place, waiting for the next thing to begin, can be very beautiful and poetic. I tend to have a high tolerance for it, almost too high a tolerance for it, as I'll get to in a moment. But it's also a potential for real frustration. The book can basically just kind of derail. One of the reasons why these books are kind of short is because I think like reading 900 pages of this sort of, hemming and hawing isn't to everyone's taste and isn't even to the author's taste. Only they can grind those gears poetically for so long. I love how the way I talk in these videos is so tortured, it like requires a translator. I'd have to go back and watch these videos with you and like tell you what I thought I was saying or guess at what I thought I was saying. There's a clumsiness to my YouTube videos too. So I'm an expert in clumsiness. I'm an expert in bad writing, I'm not a great published guy. I write bad stuff. I'm aware of what things I like to read have had influences on me that lead to manuscripts I can't bear to look at. I think that in Lispector, this kind of, stagnance or clumsiness, drawn out and made into a poem, which is distinct from the infarct of narrative cloggers that Nicholson Baker talks about, is her strong suit and also something that can frustrate you when you're reading one of her stories out loud, for instance. Basically, thinking about all this stuff led me to have moments where I was like, do I actually dislike the influence that this book is going to have on me? And then I would conclude that was overthinking. I would proceed to the next paragraph, read aloud, and find out that there was plenty of humor in here, which is the saving grace that makes all of these questions moot. There's plenty of that, and the read went on like a charm, and it's like 2 parts and an ending, I feel like. It's like the first 40 pages, or the first 45 pages, the second 45 pages, and then the last 10 is kind of like this totally exploded, very confused part. But I thought that part concluded touchingly with the outline being drawn around the narrator. And I thought that all of the concerns that I had while reading were really moot, and the conclusion I took away was that as we are birthing yesterday, this book depicts like the birthing of the yesterday, we needn't torture ourselves too much. We needn't feel too much pain, any pain more than the pain of just normal forgetting and normal distortion and normal vertiginousness. We needn't torture ourselves anymore, and we can go to sleep peacefully. Dream, go to sleep, go to read the next thing. Another thing I enjoyed about this book was the how far we've come feeling. That's something that I associate with The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis. It's where when you get to the end of the book and you look at the front, how strong is your feeling of like, gosh, how did we come all the way here from there? I remember when we were all the way back there. That feeling is strong and sweet with this book. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've tried to mention all of my like basic talking points, and I've tried to encourage you to read this book. I think really what I'd like to encourage you to do is read whatever book you're reading as well as you can. This is an idea that I'm stealing. Basically, I plan to steal from Robertson Davies' book, A Voice from the Attic. Go ahead and, whatever you're reading, read it with aplomb. Accept that it may contain some wisdom, and read on happily. And to Augie, thank you for loaning me this and recommending this. I enjoyed this so much. It has images that I'll never be able to get out of my head again. It has blizzards of thought that were impossible to put into my head. And I enjoyed it a lot. It's the kind of book I like. New Directions paper books stan, Cesar Ira stan. I look forward to rereading this, and I look forward to using this as a reference in my head when I'm enjoying and understanding all of these crazy narratives by this author I currently love. In the future, I hope to talk more about Mary Ruefle, Carlo Ginzburg, hopefully, Lee Spector too. This Davies book, when I have more thoughts on it, I'm really just trying to digest the dang thing. Maybe this thing, I don't know how much you guys want to hear about me talk about Bukowski poems. Maybe that would be really exciting to you. I don't know. But yeah, till then, everybody, happy reading.